Good day everyone, my name is Donita Cristielo and Pinat, a student nutritionist dietitian, and I'm going to report about the purchasing cycle. For our objectives, first is to determine the principles of purchasing, second, define what is purchasing cycle, third, identify and describe the steps of purchasing cycle. So what is purchasing? Purchasing is a vital function of materials management apart from stores keeping, inventory control, traffic, and waste control. We have here the principles of purchasing. The right quality does not mean the best quality. Any quality that is suitable for the purpose is already the right quality. In order to achieve the right quality is through the use of standard specification, brand name, or trade name. The next principle is the right quantity. In order to achieve it, the following factors must be considered such as the numbers of servings per unit, price, quality discounts, rebates, small quantity extras, budget, shelf life of product, available storage facilities, and the policies of the institution. The next principle is the right price. In order to achieve the right price is through cost and value analysis. Thereafter, the purchaser's negotiation skills, his relation with the supplier, and the nature of competition in the market will together determine the actual price. In order to achieve the right source is to consider the reputation of the supplier, and the supplier should have sufficient financial resources and manpower to handle the order. For determining the right time, the purchase manager estimates the lead time information for all components. Lead time is the total time that elapses between the recognition of a need of an item until the item arrives and is provided for use. So let's now proceed to the purchasing cycle. Purchasing cycle is also called the procurement cycle or the procure to pay. It is the process by which you order, obtain, and pay for the goods and services that your business needs. First to consider in this cycle is to identify the needs of the establishment. Quantities of food needed for production of planned menus are identified from the recipes used to prepare them. The submission of request to purchase or the purchase requisition is the action that triggers this purchasing process, especially when formal methods are used, which will be discussed by the next reporter. So let's start with the first step of the purchasing cycle, which is the product specification. Specifications should be brief and concise but contain enough information so that there could be no misunderstanding and to ensure the right quality. So as I have discussed earlier that the submission of the request to purchase is the action that triggers the purchasing process. So this is an example of a purchase request form. So purchase requisition is an internal document which is a written request usually sent to inform the purchasing department of a need for materials or supplies. To fill up this form, usually this is serially numbered. Then the name of the department or the individual making the request, specify the quantity of items, description of each item, then the unit price, order data, then required delivery date, and then the authorized signature. Let's proceed to the second step of the purchasing cycle, which is the par stock. So to compute the par stock is the economic order quantity or EOQ plus safety stock, whereas the EOQ is the square root of 2CN over K, in which C refers to the cost of placing an order or how much it cost you for placing an order, then N for the number of units required annually, and for K, carrying cost per unit of inventory. So the economic order quantity or the EOQ helps in determining the right quantity of materials to be ordered, whereas the safety stock is an additional quantity of an item in order to reduce the risk of the item that will be out of stock. To determine the reorder point is the daily usage times the lead time plus the safety stock, whereas the usage is the anticipated rate or the period of time at which the materials will be used. Then the lead time is the estimated interval between the placement of order and the receipt of the material. Then the safety stock is the estimated minimum level of inventory needed to protect against running out of stock. So this is how to calculate the daily usage. The third step in the purchasing cycle is the selection of supplier. To select the right supplier, the following factors must be considered such as their customer service, whether they are approachable or not, their delivery commitments, whether they deliver the goods on time, then the reliability and responsiveness, and the resource savings, whether they provide discounts. So for the fourth step in the purchasing cycle is the purchase order. This purchase order form includes the vendor information, the purchase order number, date ordered, delivery date, and the shipping details, which it could be FOB destination or FOB shipping point. For FOB destination, the one who shoulders the expense is the supplier, whereas the FOB shipping point, the one who shoulders the expense is the customer. For the terms, it could be N10 or 10 days to pay or N30 for 30 days to pay. It also includes the unit, the total quantity, the specification as discussed earlier, the price per unit, and the total cost. It also includes the authorized signature. So, what's the difference between the purchase request and the purchase order? Is it the same? Well, actually it's not. Purchase request is an internal document, whereas the purchase order is an external document. So, purchase request happens within the establishment, whereas the purchase order is the transaction between one establishment to another establishment. The fifth step in the purchasing cycle is the receiving and storage, in which the quantities delivered must be the same as those listed in the invoice. And the last step of the purchasing cycle is the issuing, and then the cycle goes on. So what is invoice? Invoice is also called a sales invoice, in which it is a bill that defines the terms of transaction. In conclusion, purchasing is an essential function in the food service system. We just have to strictly follow the scheduled production plan in order to attain the right quality, right quantity from the right source, right price at the right time. And that would be all. Thank you.